So how do parents light a fire of motivation under their kids? Well, I'll tell you something that an educator told me. He's been in education for 30 years. He's the head of a middle school in Texas. And he said many parents come to him and they say, I've tried everything that I can. I've done everything for my son to get him to do his work. What's one more thing I can do? And he says to them, well, you've done everything that you can except for one thing. You have to step out of the way. What we want is for kids to become internally motivated. We want that motivation to come from inside them. Psychologists call this intrinsic motivation. We raise kids with external motivators, that they have to do their homework, that they'll get in trouble if they won't, that they'll get rewards if they do. But by the teenage years, that stops working. So research has found, psychologists have found that there are 3 C's to motivation, to helping people develop internal motivation: competence, control, and connection. Competence has to do with a person's sense that they are competent, that they can do something. Because studies have revealed that if someone believes they can do something, they can actually do it. That's because when you believe that you can do something and you come up across a challenge or something that's difficult or you don't know, if you have what we call self-efficacy, you realize that if you work harder, you practice more, or you learn a new skill, you'll be able to get over that hump and you'll be able to do it. People without that sense of self-efficacy, when they come up against a challenge, they get too anxious and they give up. So that's competence. The second C is control. People have to feel, and this is true of adults and teenagers, they have to feel a sense of control over what they're doing in order to feel motivated to want to do it. That just makes common sense. So that's called autonomy, being able to choose. However, autonomy doesn't just exist by itself. Autonomy isn't the freedom to do whatever you want. Autonomy comes with accountability. If we make a decision, we have to be able to live with the consequences of that decision. That's how we learn. Sometimes the consequences are good, sometimes they're not good. So what happens, what I see, is that many parents give their kids, and sometimes teachers do, autonomy. You get to decide to do what you want, but then they don't hold them accountable. So if they stay up late and they cram for a test, and then they say, can you call me in sick? Parents will pick up the phone and call the kid in sick, and that's not helping them to be accountable. So control comes from having kids have a sense of control over their destiny, autonomy, but it has to come with some limits and some structure. And the third thing is connection. And whenever I talk to parents about staying connected to their teenagers, they laugh. They tell me there's no way to do that. But there really is. Teenagers still need their parents. They tell you they don't need you, but they do need you. Sometimes they need you in the background. Sometimes they need you at 11 o'clock at night when they're deciding to talk because they're anxious and you want to go to bed. But they need a sense of knowing that you have empathy, that you really can understand things from their perspective, which doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but you get where they're coming from. It also comes from a sense of connection with teenagers, also comes from setting limits so that they know that they're safe. And the third thing that's really important in terms of developing connection is avoiding power struggles. And I talk about this a lot in the book because teenagers are so good at getting us into battles of will, and they always win.